The degeneration process. Movement function of said limb organ is lost after 2 hours, nourishment coming to a halt within 5 to 6 days. Wait for it. You can always
Regen the limb organ back, but it will rot eventually.
necrosis comes gradually, slowly degenerating the TREcho's lesion and any appendages off within 10 to 15 days after regen. TREchos will first engage the senses instead of settling on an afflicted person's neck. I've never seen someone with a TREcho around their neck, but it would be pure comedy tragedy. Inside the body, TREchos can target internal organs. However, it does not make them lose their function at the first occurrence. Instead, it is a progressive loss of function. Each cycle after the TREcho, regardless of how you died, you lose a little bit more of said organ's function until you wake up with a cybernetic one, or only cycles with consecutive, repetitive traumatic deaths would count to the overall organ's integrity. What if it affects the skin? Would it be like leprosy? Or is it just affect the melanocytes, which is the skin, your hair, your iris color? Your heart. You would be less cardiac function, diminished endurance, prone to faint, G-force resilience. What if affect your lungs? You would have less gaseous exchanges. You would need more oxygen from life support. You would have less endurance and would be prone to faint too. What about the stomach, the small intestine? Less food absorption, more poo. It would take longer to digest food. It would cause nausea when facing G forces. What about your large intestine? Less water absorption. You couldn't hold feces. Your liver, your spleen. You would have less tolerance from drug use. Your liver wouldn't be able to process as much nutrients as before. You could also have diminished total HP. What about the pancreas? Probably problems with the blood's pH, and it would affect the MedPen's efficiency. What about your thyroid? It would compromise your overall metabolism. What about your bladder? Well, that's easy. You wouldn't be able to hold urine. The kidneys, less reabsorption of fluids. Your body would need more water. You would pee more. Could we could we have anemia too? What about your glands? Could it affect your sweat, your reproduction, your follicles, which means your hair's growth rate? What about your adrenal glands? They could interfere with your inflammation process, with your hormones, and even with adrenaline. You wouldn't be able to run on max speed. Also, the bone marrow. What about the blood production, your immune system, and would also affect your radiation poisoning? Regarding xenomedicines, well, xi'an acupuncture, only when done consecutively after regen, it prevents the expression of the quantum entanglement disruption field scar. Super premium medical insurances could even cover xenomedicines in order to prevent others from knowing one's IVS and high TREcho scars. Well, this doesn't sound very well, so let me rephrase that a little bit. Super premium medical insurance could even cover xenomedicines in order to prevent others from knowing one's IVS and high TREcho scars. And the treatment for it comes in the form of xi'an acupuncture, or how I like to name it, desmosomal electrokneading. You can also call it xi'an checkei, which simply means xi'an acupuncture, with check meaning needle and AE meaning puncture. You see, the xi'an are seen as a severe culture, with an overpolished attitude, and with an historic emotional baggage. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. One of the reasons that they are distrustful and wary of other sentient species. But near below that, they enjoy the happiness of a nuclear family unit. Their overpolished manners weaves at their start trusting, while they pay close attention to our choices, attitudes, and approaches. Again, They enjoy the happiness of a nuclear family unit. I cannot stress this enough, meaning that they have something to care about the end of the day. And their society is organized by mean of its houses, each one lineages, each one with their distinct function. We have military houses, industrial houses, medical, social, environmental, administrative, and even criminal houses. So, diving into the subject of Xi'an acupuncture, I myself had first hand contact with it in the planet Xi, where they call it as an old form of healing art. But we had widespread knowledge of it after the fall of the Paris line in 2789 thanks to the Human Xi'an Trade Initiative. Xi'an acupuncture basically uses the patient's body electric current with real-time measure of meridian to assess any kind of energy unbalanceness. I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Manaka's thread. It is an He's a doctor from Old Earth's Japanese acupuncture who practiced Old Earth's Japanese acupuncture, and he developed this technique when you basically got a wire, put it into two different places in the body, and the difference in potential makes the electrons flow from the most stagnated area to another cleared area. So the body can transfer their excessive electrons to other parts of the body and then clear the disease. Well, the Xi'an acupuncture uses the same meridians of traditional Chinese medicine of Old Earth. Dave Haddock even said, I guess it was him, that the Xi'an's political system resembles a federal monarchy or the historical Old Earth Chinese system of Fengjian. The Xi'an acupuncture is made in a holistic way, so all somatic and reproductive cells' electric charges are measured, scanned. They provide electric balance, redirecting energy from stagnations to where the body needs it. The Xi'an rods, as we call them, held by anti-gravity once placed, discharges electric pulses through skin touch pierced monatomic tip needles, and they can be adapted for human use. Here is an experiment that we did to see how well the Xi'an acupuncture can do with animals too. So how did we get to discover Xi'an acupuncture in the first place? Well, UE expatriates who remained on the system with no access to human medicines relied heavily on this healing art, as they described a soothing sensation with intermittent tinglings all over the body. It is virtually capable of healing every illness faced so far. It can be integrated with allopathics without any collateral damage. Humans with allergies to all meds found much relief relying on this art. Within the Xi'an society, it is used for therapeutic use during meditation sessions, so they can prepare their mental state for control of metabolism, energy balancing, and sense sharpening. This is a very unusual project that we had. We had these Xi'an rods where they were shoot out of a ballistic. I don't know if it was a crossbow or a gun, but it would reach the animal far away and it would deliver the treatment while in safety. Just so you know, all these experiments were done under the guidelines of the Protect All Wildlife. Okay, so no animals were harmed during all of these experiments. So how did we adapt the xenotechnologies, these xenomedicines? Well, it was quite simply the technology auto-detects the species and adapt its potency based on the electric skin resistance. The configured Xi'an rods have basically holistic scanners that can reach all the way into the electrons of the body with precise rendering, coupled with quantic calculators, and also an electronic charge pulsar or electron pulsator. It also sports an anti-gravity drive that manipulates the mononeedles with nanoscale precision while it levitates above the patient's skin. So the main components of this technology. Well, first of all, we need the scanner for real-time meridians energy flow rendering, and adapt it for the X system energy flow, which is used for desmosomal electroneeding. The other thing that we need are the computers, the processors, which are capable of using the scanner's information in order to calculate a solution where the electron is placed on the affected cadherin's calcium using a milli microvoltage charge pulsar, normalizing the electrosphere. It is adapted to calculate electronic pathways through desmosomes, but it normally uses the meridian channels shared by the xi'an species. The xi'an uses some kind of quantic calculators instead of computers. And finally, the monoatomic tip needles, which are placed on the patient's skin, enabling precise pathways for electrons, working as electrodes. The needles are moved with nanoprecision, providing the perfect positioning of the monatomic tip on the skin, making the electrons flow precisely where they need to reach. And curious enough, both versions of the xi'an acupuncture, xi'an and human, they share the same mono needles, which is awesome. This photo belongs to one of the branches of my research. We were lucky enough to get clearance to study and treat injured specimens on the Kellogg system, basically on the planet Cheese. If you think that I did a good job and deserve it, please like, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra mile to help me do what I do, you can also help me by subscribing to my Patreon and Ko-fi.